The leader of the New Patriotic Party is urging calm in the party after several weeks of internal wrangling, culminating in the inability of two top officials of the party to use their offices at the NPP headquarters. Now, addressing a news conference in Accra a short while ago, Nana Akufo-Addo asked party members to come together in unity to wrestle power from the governing National Democratic Congress.
Having heard so many people, my first call on all party members and supporters is to cease fire. The finger pointing, the name calling, the insults, the lies, the denigrating of past and current leaders must stop. They are to be roundly condemned. His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, second President of the Fourth Republic, remains an icon of our party and nation, whose legacy we in the NPP must jealously guard. There is absolutely nothing to be gained from internal recriminations within the NPP except to provide fertile soil for our opponents. It is unseemly and disrespectful towards the memory of Chairman Adams that such loud noises should continue within the party whilst we're still in the official mourning period. A certain amount of outburst induced by the tragedy is understandable because of the extreme nature of the tragedy. But that should not mean that members should behave out of character. Now that many sections of the party have spoken and made their appeals, the party structures should take over and deal with the issues that have been raised. Meetings of the National Executive Committee, the body charged with responsibility for directing the affairs of the party, and then the National Council, the highest decision-making body of the party, except for the National Annual Delegates Conference, should be convened after the Adua prayers to resolve the issues that we face. I am confident that these bodies will act in the collective interest of the party. None of us in the NPP should forget for one moment that we have an election to fight and win in 18 months' time, and that we are in the middle of selecting our parliamentary candidates for that purpose. None of us should forget the desperate state into which our nation has been plunged, and none of us should forget that the people of Ghana look to us to rescue our nation. We dare not jeopardize this sacred trust by fruitless internal strife.
Well, that's flag bearer of the opposition NPP, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, in a press briefing a short while ago. I have in the studio now joining me a member of our political desk, Malik Dabu, who joins me now. So, Malik, what do you make of the statement, I mean, the address by the flag bearer of the NPP, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo?
I think it was a masterclass tactical speech that he delivered, carefully avoiding all the potholes in the resolution of this matter, because I'm sure you know that the key issues, he didn't touch them. The question about whether the General Secretary, Kwabena Agyapong, and the party chairman, Paul Afoko, should go or stay, he didn't touch it. He rightly said that the appropriate body to deal with it as mandated in the Constitution is the National Council of the party, which, as he said, is the next highest decision-making body of the party, apart from the National Conference where people are elected. So he says, I have no role to play in this decision. The regional caucuses have made their calls. The minority in parliament have made their call. Various groups in the parties have made their call. All these groups and individuals say that the stay of the national chairman and the general secretary in office will not help the party's cause towards winning the next elections. He carefully avoided saying anything on these calls, except to say the National Council will meet after the adua of the slain national chairman, the Upper East Regional Chairman of the party, after the adua of Adams Mahama, the National Council will meet and it would deliberate on all these calls.
So you think it was a deliberate strategy to avoid touching on certain issues, certain sensitive issues? But for many, I mean, that was the idea behind this whole press conference. Many were thinking he was actually going to address some of these issues to bring the matter to bear. I mean, to just address them once and for all.
If anybody expected that he was going to go out there and confront the issues, that expectation was unreasonable and founded on naivety. Because this man is a very experienced politician. He's been in this game for more than 30 years. He knows what it takes to bring the divided people together. It would have been out of place, unwise, unreasonable for him to have gone out there and say, this is my position, I want the people to go or I want them to stay. 9 out of, say, 7, those we have heard, 7 or 8 regional caucuses across the country say these people should go. Now you have some MPs who say, we don't back the argument that he should go. We know George A.C. Boateng, who is a member of the Council of Elders, says that the guys should go. We know Apia Menka, who is also a member of the Council of Elders, also saying the guys should stay. So you tell me that it is a wise decision for him to have called a press conference and said that I either support their going or I support their staying. He does not have the authority to do so. It's the National Council that has the authority to do so. And the petitioners know who has the authority to do so. It's the reason why all these regional caucuses, the minority in parliament, they haven't petitioned the flag bearer. They have petitioned the 3 bodies, the National Council, the Council of Elders, the National Executive Committee. These 3 bodies are the institutions mandated by the party's constitution itself to deal with this matter. And he left it at that.
Malik will be coming back to that pretty shortly. Let me go to the phone lines now and speak to David Agbe with the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. Joins us now over the telephone. Mr. Agbe, good afternoon. Thanks for your time on news today. Now, are you at all surprised by what you heard this morning?
I'm not surprised about it at all. I thought that Nana-Addo could have sounded more reconciliatory enough. I thought that he could have exhibited his leadership qualities enough. I expected him to use this occasion to silence every member of the party that this is the time for them to organize themselves. It is about time that they need to see a certain level of cohesion. I was expecting that Nana-Addo could have, used the occasion to call Kwabena Japan, to call Mr. Paul Afoko, and other dignitaries of the party that know it is about time that they look for the soul of the party rather than the statement that he said. However, I think that what he did is okay, that he said that no, it is about the time that everybody needs to cease fire, which is quite okay. But is it the antidote? Is it a good prescription for everybody? Now that, regionally, everybody is organizing signatures here and there, that they need to ensure that Paul Afoko, Kwabena Japan, and other groups are removed, and all that. So I think that there are a certain dilemma of leadership as far as this press conference is concerned.
Mr.
One would have expected that Nana-Addo could have used the whole occasion to convince Ghanaians that yes, he is the man, and he is the man that MPP people or Ghanaians could trust enough.
So you think he didn't do a good job in convincing Ghanaians with this press conference, with what he said today?
I think that his leadership has not been visible. Nana-Addo's leadership hasn't been visible enough.
But what many are saying is that, as a leader, the best thing to do in situations like this is not to pitch camps, is not to side with a particular angle. Is that not the right thing to do?
Yes, in a nutshell, because he is looking for the presidency, because he is actually telling Ghanaians that he has been voted to represent the party, he is not supposed to take sides. Because as soon as he takes sides, he is dividing his own front.
And that's clearly what he did today. So why then do you seem to have an issue with what he did?
No, my issue is that we expected him to sound more convincing. And I wasn't convinced enough that Nana-Addo has the pedigree, although he is the leader of the party. But we are expecting him to sound more convincing, telling Ghanaians that yes, he is the man and he could be trusted. He has the leadership ability. He can be able to rally all Ghanaians along, such that people, especially what we call the persuadable voters, people who do not belong to his camp, could even join the floating voters, as Ghanaians will call it, could also join. Let's see that leadership exhibited. Let's see him diagnosis. Let's see him preaching unity among the ranks and files of MPP so that it can translate to all Ghanaians that yes, Nana Addo can do the job.
Now, finally, let me ask, do you think Nana Addo's posture today in any way can unite the party?
I think that he has a heavy task to do, and I will urge him to do more. He has to knock at the doors of ex-President Kufuor. He has to knock at the doors of everybody. He needs to call Cabinet Japan. He needs to call for Olafoko that, please help me to do a common job. I want to become a president, and you people can be able to rally behind me. A leader without followers is just like taking a stroll within your own backyard. So Nana Addo needs to rally all those people behind him so that he can be successful. But if he tries to play the divide and rule tactics, Nana Addo will not be able to become a president as he wants to do. And so that was why I asked earlier question that does Nana Addo want to become a leader and a hero, or he wants to become a leader? If he wants to become a leader, he is the leader. But can he become a president such that he becomes a hero? That is a big question that Nana Addo needs to be able to ask, and he should be able to provide answers to Ghanaians. Let Nana Addo convince Ghanaians that yes, he is the man that could be trusted. He is the man that everybody is saying that Nana Addo, take your time and bring all MPP members together so that you can become a successful person. If not, he will only become a flag bearer. One day people will go, oh, he was a flag bearer of MPP for 3 consecutive times, but he wasn't able to succeed. But if he wants to succeed and if he wants to become a hero, he needs to do more. We need to see him at every corner bringing unity. He has to stomach all kinds of things that it is going on in the party. As a leader, you need to even draw your enemies back. I mean, to your side. He has to bring all those people together. He needs to touch on the base of Mr. Kojom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agbe, for your time there. Mr. David Agbe is actually the Executive Director of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. You just heard him there now. I still have with me Malik Dabo here in the studio. So Malik, again, I'm going to ask the same question I asked him. Do you think this posture of Nana Addo will in any way unite the party, despite his calls for unity?
I think it should. I think it should give the various factions in the party some lease of hope that, and I violently disagree with the positions expressed by Mr. Agbe that the flag bearer did not seek to bring the parties together. First of all, we know that the invisible forces, a group within the party, has pitched camp at the party headquarters and have sounded words of caution to the party chairman and the general secretary not to come to the offices, and they haven't been there.
But at least he has called for a ceasefire now, so we are hoping all those things
apart from just ceasefire, he has said that the party chairman and the general secretary should have unhindered access to their offices, and that in the New Patriotic Party, things are not done in a violent manner. Things are done in accordance with law and order and due process. So that is the way. So
moving forward, we shouldn't be hearing any such things, any such cases of violence in the party.
It shouldn't happen, because if the flag bearer comes and says, allow the general secretary and the national chairman access to their offices, I do not believe that any person who appears or claims to be working in the interest of the party can ignore the call by the flag bearer and prevent the national chairman and the general secretary from having access to their offices. And I think that anybody who supports these two should have some semblance of understanding that the man is desirous of bringing everybody together, and that the acrimonious debates must abate.
All right. Thank you very much, Malik, for your time here. Malik Dabo is with our political desk here at Joy News. We'll bring you much more on this later on. Now, 2 people have been injured in a clash between a group calling itself the Invisible Forces, a self-styled security force of the New Patriotic Party, and some youth believed to be supporters of party chairman Paul Afoko at the headquarters of the party on Thursday. Now, the incident is believed to be the latest in the ongoing turmoil within the ranks of the country's main opposition party. Now, joining us is Derek Ekosam reports a police rapid response deployment team had to be deployed to bring the situation under control.
Vehicles belonging to the Ghana Police Service were seen patrolling the area around the party's headquarters. This was after the clash between the invisible forces and some youth who are said to be supporters of party chairman Paul Afoko had left 2 people injured. The youth, after retreating from the headquarters, vowed to forcibly remove the invisible forces if they fail to vacate the premises.
That's what we will think now, if that's what they want. And we give them 24 hours. After 24 hours, anything can happen. And we are ready. We are ready.
We make what, though? Wallahi, we make what? See, Charlie, we don't the joke. I will tell you, I will tell you something. Wallahi.
We want them to leave the chairman and the secretary general to do their work, because they were voted in, they weren't unpicked. They were voted by the delegates. We came a lost complaint because we are capable of attacking them ourselves. But to prevent all this, we are coming to report to the police before we storm them.
The invisible forces have also indicated they have no intentions of abandoning the headquarters. Though they wouldn't speak on camera, one of their leaders tells me they will secure the building till a solution is found to the turmoil. As was the case on Tuesday, no journalist was allowed entry. The police, numbering about 50, wielded arms and were in protective gear, ready to curb further attacks. From the NPP headquarters here in Accra, Derek Ekosam for Joy News.
Let's go live now to the headquarters of the opposition NPP, from where my colleague Kwachi Afrenium of our political desk joins me now over the telephone. So, Afre, you've been following what Nado said. Now, what reactions are you gathering?
Well, just last week we were here to speak to party supporters in the midst of the controversy, especially when, I'm sure you remember last week Friday, when there were reports of a group coming here to organize a demonstration to demand Paul Afoko and Kwabena Japon's resignation. At the time, what the party supporters said that they were so disappointed and they had lost hope in the party's electoral chances going to the 2016 elections. But today, after Nanado's speech, where he talked about the need for unity, the need for an emergency national council meeting to look at all these issues, and what the Nanado said, quote and unquote, for all in the party to cease fire. The party supporters, even top officials within the party, say that they have gained renewed energy to support the party ahead of the 2016 elections. In fact, speaking to a number of them here who came to listen to the flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo, what they tell me is that it is clear that Nanado, contrary to reports over the past couple of days that he was not doing enough to deal with this matter, they are convinced that the flag bearer has shown leadership. What some of them were disappointed with, however, was the fact that Paul Afoko and Kwabena Japan were not here. They think that the true message of unity would have been hammered if, to the latter if Kwabena Japan, Paul Afoko, and we're here with Nanado because, as you may know, the likes of Freddie Play, the likes of Samia Uku, the likes of John Bue, the national organizer, were all here. You had Council of Elders, Chairman T.K. Tedam was here as well. And they think that if Paul Afoko and Kwabena Japan, who now the perception has deepened further in respect of the fact that they are on one side, the other executives are on the other side. If they were here today, all that would have been cured, because this was an opportunity, according to them, for that particular message of peace to have been hammered home more. But that was not done. That's the only disappointment with what happened today. But in generality, they are happy with the message of unity Nanado preached here, calling for the ceasefire, as I mentioned earlier on.
I see. Now, finally, before you go, Afre, do you think his message, that's Nanado's message of peace and unity and calling for calm and a ceasefire, in this particular time, do you think it's going to really yield much, particularly looking at the situation where you just mentioned that many of them were actually saying that it would have been better if, for instance, the party chairman and general secretary were even there? Does it look like his speech is really going to make any difference?
Well, talk is good, but it should be complemented with action. What you want to see in the MPP now is for all sides. The factions are clear. You have the Paula Foko, Kwabena Japan moving in a certain direction. You have the likes of John Buedu, Freddie Blay moving in that direction, obviously supporting the cause of Nanado. And that procession now, and I must say, is moved even beyond the procession, looking at the pronouncements of Party General Secretary Kwabena Japan over the past couple of days, saying, for example, on an Accra-based radio station that there are some within the party who are trying to sabotage his political ambition. What you want to see is all sides sitting together, not just call for unity, but there must be some practicality in that sense. You want to see these officials working together, especially ahead of these crucial elections, which is just a few months away, moving beyond the talk, moving to a state where there is some real action on the part of the top guns of the MPP, all working together.
Many thanks for your time, Kwacha Afeniama. With that, that was Kwacha Afeniama of our political desk, bringing us the latest at the headquarters of the NPP. Now, the internal disagreements within the party, that's the NPP, has now officially crept into Parliament, dividing the front of the party's minority MPs. Now, on Wednesday, the minority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, in a signed letter addressed to the party's National Council, the National Executive Committee, the National Chairman, and the General Secretary, expressed a united minority position, asking Paula Foko and Kwabena Japan to step aside. Now, it's emerging the decision was never on the agenda at the caucus meeting, and some members are questioning the motive of their leader.
I never saw any statement that was written that was to be made public that the minority caucus, including myself, had taken a decision that we have chanced upon the police investigations, and Mrs. Akfoko and Kwabena Japan have been implicated. And until I see that the due process has implicated him one way or the other, for me, it becomes very difficult to take a position one way or the other. In other words, I would like to see the facts and the evidence pointing to their involvement.
Mr. Osame added that the flag bearer of the party, Nana Akufo-Addo, and ex-president John Ejekum Kufuor are working towards restoring peace within the party.
Nana Akufo-Addo is working around the clock to make sure that peace prevails. And all his statements has indicated clearly that he wants peace. And he himself said, Ajubro, let us all get together and move in the direction of peace. Similarly, President Kufuor is outside, right? He's been having consultations with other party members. And I will not suggest that he hasn't also put his foot down.
We'll take a breather here on News Today. We'll return shortly with some more news. Don't go away. Thanks for staying on. Now, senior high schools in the 3 regions of the north and some parts of the Volta and Brong-Ahafo regions face imminent closure over government's failure to release their feeding grants. Now, government, according to a coalition of parent-teacher associations network in the area, has only paid 50% of the third term of the 2013-2014 academic year, while that of 2014-2015 has not been paid at all. Now, heads of schools, according to the coalition, are struggling to feed students because their suppliers are no longer willing to extend credits to them.
About 80 senior high schools from the 3 regions in the north of the country and the northern parts of the Volta and Brong-Ahafo regions benefiting from the National School Feeding Grants Program. Early this year, the schools had to delay their reopening dates following government's failure to release the feeding grants on time. The coalition of parent-teacher associations of schools in the area at a news conference in Tamale revealed that government only paid 50% of the third term of 2013 2013-2014 academic year without fulfilling its obligation for the 2014-2015 academic year, a situation they say makes it difficult for the management of the schools.
Ghana has made progress in its educational system over the years through budgetary support to the sector. We are aware that between 22 and 40% of Ghana's annual budget goes to education. However, it is worthy to note that the sector is bedeviled with many challenges which needs greater attention by the government and all stakeholders for redress.
Meanwhile, the Northern Regional Chairman of the coalition, Alhaji Malik Salifu, tells Joy News it is becoming increasingly likely that parents may have to take up the feeding of their wards.
We are building a wall because there is a serious encroachment on the school lands. And if we don't protect it by walling, we are going to lose it. Now you are on the wall and then the headmaster tells you the children have no food to eat. What do? You have to continue building the wall, building it because of the students. So sometimes we are forced to part some of the money anyway as loans to the schools so that when the feeding grant comes back or are paid, they pay us back. But it is a real challenge.
3 young men who allegedly raped a student of the St. Dominic Senior High School in the Ashanti region have been arrested, and the 3 are also said to have robbed others of their mobile phones and provisions.
On May 21 this year, the 3, Kwejo Dramina, a trader, and 2 drivers, Ose Kwabena and Dominic Frempong, stormed the dormitory of the school at Wadie, Ejumakese, in the Ashanti region, whilst the students were sleeping. Police say they terrorized the students with a locally manufactured pistol, subjected them to beatings and robbed them of their mobile phones and a quantity of provisions. Deputy Regional Police Commander ACP Ampofu Duku told the media one of the suspects, Kwejo Dramina, raped one of the students.
On the 21st of May 2015, at about 10:30 p.m., while the victims and her colleagues were in their dormitory sleeping, Osai Kwabena and one other at large besieged the dormitory and ordered the inmates of the dormitory, the students, at gunpoint. They had a locally made pistol in their custody. That's the pistol. And robbed them of their mobile phones, cash, and provisions amidst threats and beatings.
Police have also arrested a former member of the community police unit for possessing a submachine gun. ACP Ampofu Duku says Kwabena Kwating, aka Matata, was accosted at Tafo by the police patrol team. A search conducted on him revealed the sophisticated gun.
The victim of a bomb explosion that many believe was targeted at Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, during an Independence Day celebration, has received a cash donation for her upkeep. Elizabeth Asantwa has always complained she has been neglected by the state after the incident which happened in the early 1960s. Cowbank, which made the donation, said it followed Madam Asantwa's appeal for financial support on Joy News.
I am many years. I'm coming to say, and I'm coming home. Crofty were until I need a some Midday until Yamina Madanas. And so Miss Lenya means she damn say, maybe I'm what did I mean? Maybe I can't, one person, Mamma, son of my babu, meaning say, we are Kumapa, and it's Tima, Namada Bay, Tinyame, where she am da da. And so I'm be high, and Yame Edican, Eddie Manim. Yame Edican Eddie Manim. da se Midday am kwako ye anam kwako hweni bibia ha to na umwa hweni damase di nyame damase chirama munyina damase abo.
And so what Madame Elizabeth Asantwa is saying is that she is grateful to Cowbank Ghana for the kind gesture. She believes that this 10,000 Ghana cedis will mark a turning point in her life. But let's also speak to the head of human resource at Cowbank, Mr. Samuel Buafo.
Okay, we saw a story on My Joy Online, which was discussing the condition in which grandmother was in, and we made an appeal to our staff who were also equally touched by her fate and decided to contribute to making life a little easier for her than she is currently going through. And this is just the beginning. There is more that can come in. What we have done is to sow the seed that continuously will provide her something for her upkeep and also to take care of some medical bills, as well as the wheelchair that we've given her so that she can at least move around a bit without too much effort.
Now, popular figures in the local movie industry were missing in action at last night's demonstration in Kumasi over the energy crisis. Now, the protest was to register their displeasure with government's handling of the power crisis. Now, popular actors and actresses like Ejako Kujun Kansa, also known as Lewin, Kweku Menu, and Nanama McBrown did not turn up. Now, let's get more from John Tay, who joins us now from the Ashanti region. So, John Tay, thanks for joining us. Now, how successful was this demonstration?
I would say that it was successful, except for the rain, which obstructed the demonstration. Just say 10 minutes into the takeoff. Now, the march itself took off from the Center for National Culture, and of course saw hundreds of residents, including members of the creative arts industry, clad in red and black, and I could see most of them carrying lit-up candles and lanterns in actually what could be described as a restage of the recently held Dumsoma Stop in Accra. Now, as you would know, this demonstration was organized by the leadership of the Film Producers Association of Ghana, that's FIPAC. And what happened was that the leadership prevented the protesters from using placards, as a move to discourage politicization of events. Of the event. So there was no situation where you would even cite one of the protesters carrying a placard. And of course, it was in the bid to prevent people from using derogatory remarks at personalities. They wanted to prevent, that situation in the demonstration. But as I mentioned, there was a heavy downpour just after the takeoff, and of course, forced most of the demonstrators actually to disperse and seek refuge under every available shelter, while others defied the weather and still marched on. But the rain stopped at about 6 in the evening, so it continued for about 1 hour, and they finally converged at the Jubilee Park, where they rounded off. And the General Secretary of Film Producers Association of Ghana, James Abuaje, indeed lamented extensively the hardship the film industry is undergoing as a result of the power crisis.
I see. Thank you very much, John Tay, for that update. That was our correspondent in the Ashanti region, John Tay, bringing us that update. We're taking a break here. When we come back, we'll bring you business. Business consultant Ishmael Yamson says Ghana is more likely to refinance its 76 billion cedi total public debt stock should government focus on borrowing on a long-term instead of a short-term basis. Now, reacting to criticisms of the debt management style of government, Ishmael Yamson preferred an effective organizational repositioning of Ghana's fiscal policy is long overdue.
You don't borrow short-term to finance long-term projects. We should borrow long-term if we are investing in a long-term project. We have short-term debts, very expensive. We should go and borrow long-term money, even if it is slightly more expensive, to pay off all the short-term debt. That gives you space, because if you borrow 7 years, 10 years, you pay off all the 91 days and 180 days, very expensive T-bill rates, and 1 year, 2 years. You giving your space, yourself space to then readjust. So then you can then manage and refocus and realign your debt profile.
The Ghana Stock Exchange has established a new market which will allow consumers to trade through banks with their treasury bills. Now, clients, according to officials, can also trade on the Ghana fixed income market through other recognized dealers. Now, the market is scheduled to start operation by the end of next month.
The Ghana Fixed Income Market GIFM of the Stock Exchange adds to the existing markets such as the Alternative Market GACS. Although GIFM works with the usual equities, managers of the Stock Exchange say it is unique.
The ordinary Ghanaian can trade just as we do it for equities, but you are trading through a recognized dealer, either a bank, a PD, or a stockbroking company. Just as you do for equities, you always will trade through a recognized dealer. In the case of equities, the recognized dealers are only stock brokerage firms. In the case of the GIFM, there are 3 recognized dealers: banks, PDs, and a primary dealer. In other words, an institution that can go to auctions organized by Bank of Ghana. Just as you can instruct your bankers to buy treasury bills on your behalf. And then, if your bank is not a PD, then it will have to wait for the PD banks to go to auction, go and buy wholesale, and then come and retail it, so that you can, if you're a bank, you can buy on behalf of your client.
The market also has an outstanding governing committee to ensure a lot more transparency in fixed income securities.
It's having a unique governing committee, bringing all the stakeholders together. The stakeholders are Bank of Ghana, the CSD, the Ghana Association of Bankers, the dealers themselves, that is the bank dealers, the stockbrokers, and then the exchange itself. So this governing committee has been carefully selected to represent the interests of all these stakeholders, so that their technical input to the running of this market will be well grounded.
All government treasury bills, notes, bonds, and Bank of Ghana money market instruments are to be admitted and traded on the GIFM.
Customers of ADB have urged management and staff to resolve the impasse to avoid another strike. Now, the workers withdrew their services in the banking over alleged security concerns. However, banking halls, well, we'll bring you back that story pretty shortly, but that'll be it for business.
Welcome from that break. My name is Benedict Ozu. We talk sports here on News Today, and FIFA's 209 members associations will decide in less than 120 minutes whether to give Sepp Blatter a fifth term as president. Now, World Football's governing body continues to reel from a storm of damaging corruption allegations, but the 79-year-old Blatter has already resisted calls to resign and insists he's the man to fix things. Blatter, who has been at the helm of FIFA since 1998, is being challenged by the presidency, the 39-year-old Jordan Prince Ali bin Hussein. And speaking before the presidential election in Zurich, scheduled to begin this afternoon, Blatter admitted, and I quote, "These are unprecedented and difficult times for FIFA," but he added it must fall and is to uphold our responsibility for the well-being of the organization. The event of this week unleashed the storm. The point today is to move ahead, and the important point is transparency. We have a problem to solve. A bomb threat was made during day 2 of the FIFA Congress on Friday, which is today, and the room was searched and proceedings resumed at 11:30. So currently, as I speak, the Congress is underway and voting will begin. So later in the afternoon, we'll bring you details as to who will be the new FIFA president. Is it going to be Sepp Blatter or Al bin Hussein? Well, we'll move on to some more stories, and the second leg of the 2016 Olympic Games qualifiers will take place this weekend, with Ghana's Black Queens hosting the Egyptian counterparts here in Accra. Now, last week the Queens managed a 1-1 draw against the Lady Pharaohs in Cairo, but ahead of the game on Sunday, some tension seems to be brewing in the Queens camp as players, technical team and management make a heavy demand for their outstanding bonuses garnered during the qualifiers. Yusuf Basigi is head coach of the Black Queens, and he has been speaking to Joy Sports.
For now, I would say that I have already tagged them, I've talked to them. Just like I was saying, the biggest motivational factor is to qualify. And let's hold on to the bonuses and then go ahead to win come Sunday's match, and then we see the way forward. Because we make sure the management are working on it seriously. And should I say the SA or the authorities concerned are working on it. So we don't need to cast our mind on that, but just to focus for Sunday's match, and then we see the way forward.
So that was Black Queens coach Yusuf Basigi. We'll move on to the other national teams, and the Black Meteors will also be in action this weekend as they travel to Brazzaville to play Congo. Now, the Meteors end a slim 1-0 win in Accra. That was last week against the Congolese, and a draw will be enough to see the Ghanaians through to the next stage of the competition. MNS Do is chairman of the Black Meteors Management Committee, and he has been speaking to Joy Sports, and according to him, the team is prepared for the game.
It's preparing for the return leg, and we're going strongly to make sure that we sustain the long goal defeat that we inflicted over the Congolese, or even score another goal there to qualify for the next round of the competition. I believe you saw the way the officiating went here. We also hope that we'll go and get the same type of officiating.
So the Black Queens are in action, the Black Meteors are also in action. Same as the Black Starlights, they are far away in New Zealand, and they will begin their campaign this year's, this year's Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand. Tomorrow they will start in Group B. Their first game is against Austria. That match will be played at 7 a.m. Ghana time. That's it for me, Benedict. So enjoy your weekend and have a good afternoon. Here comes your way to wrap up the news.
Well, this is how we wrap up today's bulletin. But before we go, a quick run through our top stories. There's a flag bearer of the opposition NPP, Nana Addo Dankwa-Akufo-Addo, has called for unity among party members following issues of mistrust and threats of impeachment of the party's chairman and general secretary. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to rescue Chibok girls and exterminate Boko Haram. And in business, analysts say repositioning of Ghana's fiscal policy is long overdue. That's it for the bulletin. For more news, do well to log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Kwabna Chencheni Boati. Have a good afternoon.